Welcome to VNfiniti,
the podcast where we talk
and you listen.
We're your hosts, Ashley
and Tori.
Hey, boo, hey.
Hey, girl. What's the dealio?
We got some Halloween coming up. We got the spooky season coming up.
We got some scariness coming up for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Vamoose.
Vamoose as in like
getting missing.
Right? Like get your ass out of Dodge.
Well, let's talk about the actual definition. So like I said, so Vamoose is departed hurriedly, right? So somebody again leaving, rolling out, as we would say,
roll out. Mm-hmm.
Or now it's ghosting.
Oh,
right?
That moves like poof, be gone, like poof,
like be gone.
Poof,
yeah,
be gone.
Yeah, like magic tricks.
Magic tricks.
Like magic
now you
show.
See me? Now you don't.
That's all I'm saying, right? So we didn't necessarily call it ghosting back in the day. It was just like all of a sudden, I don't know. I know that it happens, but now we actually
got a definition to it.
We have, and it's definitely a topic of conversation, right? Specifically now because we can call it ghosting, right? So because any other time it was like, all of a sudden I didn't hear from them anymore. Stop taking my call, or didn't call, or just in relationship sense, ghosting to get missing. You know what I mean?
So Vamoose.
Yeah. For this here Halloween season, right? So
talk about this ghosting.
Let's talk about it. Do you know much about this ghosting thing? Do you know of anyone who has been ghosted? Have you ever been ghosted? We're gonna talk about, have we ever ghosted? Like this new term, ghosting.
So ghosting. Definitely have been ghosted. I definitely have been ghosted. And it's interesting because like it's funny because like most of the time when I have been ghosted more than once, and I've been ghosted by a friend, and I've been ghosted by I would say I wouldn't say a love interest because you're using that L word, but like an interested party, being ghosted by an interested party. But what I find interesting for the most part is not necessarily realizing you've been ghosted. So I'm just going to pull from my friendship experience. I had a friend I was really, really close with, and we did a lot of things together, and I was very active in her life, including her child's life. And then one day I just noticed like I hadn't talked to her in a while. In some ways, she had been relying on me for other things. And I noticed that she hadn't, necessarily reached out for those types of things anymore. So
okay. Wow.
Interesting. So, like I was still texting, make sure she was good, and put some fillers out there to make sure I didn't personally do anything, because I always go back to that because I am a Virgo. We analyze ourselves first. So I'm like, hey, I ran down the list of things, our last interaction, to make sure I wasn't in fault in any way. And then I just put it out there like, hey, what's going on? We good? Oh yeah, we're good. Cool. Checked up a few times, and then I was just like, okay. And I just left it alone. And then next thing you know, it's been like years.
Wow.
And in some cases, like we were still in like the same social settings and been around each other since then, and still no outside contact. I mean, and from a hurtful standpoint, in a way, I was hurt at first because I poured a lot into our friendship. I went out of my way a lot in our friendship. I even put some business out there on the line with this friendship.
Wow.
And recommended them to people. I mean, it's just like a lot of things. And then to not get the courtesy of having a conversation if I did do something to hurt our friendship.
Right. Wow.
I did do something to cause some issues within it. Or maybe it was me. Maybe I, was the one that was distant, or whatever it may have been. Like,
yeah, but the idea that you reached back out though.
Yeah, having a conversation
to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It can be very hurtful. It can be very hurtful, especially from a friendship. And I know you said that you had a similar experience.
So actually, yeah, two experiences, right? So one was, and it was one was in college. And I can say like that I understand the circumstances of, like if I did something that person didn't agree with, I'd have preferred that they said that, but that wasn't the last conversation that we had. But when I went to reach back out to them, I could, like they never responded again. So, it was like, we talked about the situation, and then we came to an understanding, or at least so I thought, but then that was it. Right. And it was a very brief relationship. So it was like a college relationship. It wasn't anything that was deep or anything. It was just, I was just shocked because I never had someone do me like that, and I take friendships so serious, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I really do value people and I value friendships. And so if I, am willing to trust someone on that level, and we come to this place and face this railroad, what I can respect is the fact that you decided that you didn't want to continue a friendship with me. Maybe you saw some things about me that you didn't connect with, or that you didn't like, and I can respect that. But let's have that conversation, because here I am again. I'm a Virgo. I'm non-confrontational, but I'm confrontational. I'm confrontational in a sense where if there's something that needs to be said, like I want to hear it. You know what I mean? Right. So that's one thing. But the other thing too is also happened to me within family. Like, I don't know, if you can imagine what that feels like, but yeah. And so that has happened before for me. And that was really a shock and heartbreaking, even to say, the least, or whatever. But, again, like you said, I reached out and I called and they didn't answer the phone, but they texted me back, is everything okay? I was like, yeah, everything's fine. And then the response was okay. And I think I may have said, how are you? And they may have been like, I'm good, thanks. And then I think that was it. And so I was just like, okay, so we went from talking every single day, to never, ever talking again. And so that was like, whoa, what a shocker. And even when other family members would ask about it, I would just always be like, I don't know, like this is how it happened. And I respected the space. But for sure, it was definitely one of those that, and to this day,
Yeah, like family, that's deep.
And you know how I value family.
Yeah.
You know how I love family. You know how and not only family, like, how I value my friends. If we become friends, you're now my family. Like we don't break up, right? we don't ghost. We don't break up. We resolve issues and we move forward, right?
And you grow from it.
And so that part for me is like, and you grow from it and you continue to love each other.
Yes.
And that is how I see family. And I love all of my family. I'm talking about to the depths, like family and friends. You're no longer friends, you're now family. My family is the very same way. Once my friends are my friends, they are now also my family and my family's family. Like we are extended that way. Like that's how our heart works, And then I'm a Virgo, right? so yeah. So when that happened, I just feel like that's how we are in all of our relationships a lot of times. Like, yes, we assess the relationship when we decide where we're going to put it. But if we decide that we're going to, be involved in this relationship and we've made this, we have this perceived idea of what a relationship is, be it a friendship, a relative, a coworker, whatever that situation is, we try to respect that in that space and place. And we value it as such.
That's hard. Like like going from a friendship, I get that, you win some, you lose some. But from having friends that are close as family. And when I say close as family, I mean, like you said, we're we become family. I'm Auntie Ashley. And then having that to just be shut off without any explanation is kind of like, it's craziness.
Yeah. As
adults, yes. And then romantic side of things, like I had this courtship thing going one time, and everything seemed to be okay. Like it wasn't very serious. It was at the beginning of the whole dating process. Went out a couple of times, talked regularly, and then it was just like one or two dates afterwards, there was some serious conversations. I was like, oh, well, this could possibly go into a good direction. And then, we parted ways, and then like a couple of days, I noticed, I was like, oh, I haven't talked to him. Well, so I reached out. Hey, I hope you're doing well. Enjoyed seeing you the last time I saw you, like, hope you're good. And got a nice response, like, yeah, just, been a little busy. Things are well. Enjoyed seeing you as well. And then normal conversation. And then another week went by. And I was like, wait, it's been like
again
a week. Yeah. It's like, So I reached out. Actually, I reached out a couple of days after the first time, because it was like, again, a couple of days, which was odd. Reached out, no response. I said, oh, okay. Maybe they're busy.
Okay.
Reached out again, no response. I just chalked it up to the game. I was like, oh, well, okay. That was
This
cool.
is what we're saying. This is what you're communicating.
And that was cool. So that brought me to the whole thought around, is ghosting necessary? Like, ghosting to me in a couple ways, like so I put ghosting into like two buckets. There's the ghosting when there's a failure of communication, or people feel that they don't have an obligation to communicate, or don't know how to communicate, whatever it may be, but there's a failure of communication. And then I have this other bucket, and this is just when it's necessary, like when the other party isn't necessarily fully understanding the communication that's already been had and spoken and expressed, and now you just have to fully just cut it off.
Absolutely. Okay, so you're right. Two things. It's the issue of communication for one, or it's one of those, I've made my, I'm drawing the line.
Setting boundaries.
I'm setting the boundaries, and I think that we are definitely good at doing that and assessing the situation and having the intuition and discernment to say that this isn't serving, and we go ahead on and sever ties, and we don't have a problem with doing that. And we try to do it, though, in the healthiest way possible, and as I mature myself, I am more willing to have those conversations and say, to be honest, this isn't working for me. This isn't healthy for me, or this isn't what I want to be associated with. This isn't who I am, or, even in a mutual relationship, so I don't have a lot of friends. And so, if it's not uplifting or optimistic, and it's not feeding me, or I'm not feeding you, then, we can definitely make those decisions, because that's what you should do for yourself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? In terms of like a lack of communication, or the lack of the ability to communicate. Yeah, like that's like, not everybody is able to say, you know what, I don't think we should continue on with this relationship, or, or I see some things within you that, don't necessarily
fit what I want to do, or fit where I'm going.
Cut
off communication. So like, instead of having that crucial conversation, just a cutting off the communication with no anything. Have you and you spoke a little bit on this, so I'm going to gather that you haven't ghosted anyone. But I have actually ghosted someone.
I can't say that I haven't. Go ahead. Share that with me.
So in college, again, we didn't have a name for it. And it's like my most vivid memory of me ghosting someone. And I probably have ghosted someone before, but not necessarily like cutting all communication, not answering phone calls, not returning texts. I don't believe I've ever done that, except for this one exception. So in college, I met this guy, and like we were communicating, chatting, talking on the phone and everything. So there was like this big campus event, and I went to the campus event, and he was there. And he came up to me, he was all hugged up on me. I was like, okay, all in public and stuff. Okay, some public affection. All right.
Just like that, huh?
Yeah, like, okay, this is just speeding up. We just had a couple of conversations. Okay, good, great. So we went out to eat afterwards, and so we're eating, group of people, we're all eating together, and I feel like I have some eyes like burning into my skull.
Were they piercing straight through?
They were piercing. So I'm just like looking around the room, like, why do I feel like the back of my neck is burning? And there's like this girl over in the corner, and she's just like staring me down, and I'm just like trying to figure it out. Couldn't for the life of me like pinpoint what was going on or anything. So we leave, me and my friends, the group of us, we leave and turn back around, and this chick has her finger like all in his face, like she is giving him the business. He called, he texted, he did everything possible. You think this girl picked up the phone?
Why would I have much to say?
I ghosted the hell out of him. I sure did. I did.
Yeah, well within rights.
Do you think so? So in that sense, was there not warranted, like the communication piece that we talked about? Like, was I not supposed to hear his side of the story or his explanation?
No, I think your women's intuition kicked in and said, this woman obviously feels like she has the right to be stepping to him and addressing him in such a manner. Like that shows relationship. I don't know the depth of the relationship. I don't know. But that
he was publicly
shows
showing me affection. He was publicly out with me at a restaurant.
That's right.
So did that not warrant me to like hear him?
Did you gather it was his sister?
No.
Did you think it was a homegirl, cousin? His mama and them?
Girl, no.
Baby mama.
Just saying. So
mama. I'm just saying, even if it was.
So I was right. Just saying, I was in the right of like the whole ghosting situation there, huh?
I'm just saying to you that even had you heard him out, what would have come after that? To learn that he has this type of drama going on, what of that did you want any association with beyond
None.
that?
And I kept it moving.
Okay, then I think what you communicated with him was, I don't want no parts of that.
So back to the whole,
to put myself in that would make this whole situation even more chaotic than it is.
So back to that whole thing of the two parts of the ghosting. Like there is the non-communication where people they fail or don't know how, or there's just like no communication that could possibly make this situation better. And then you have the ghosting where it's just like, I've communicated, you're not getting it, so I'm setting my boundary. So on the no communication, isn't no communication?
It is that's the very conversation of ghosting. That's exactly what ghosting is. It's the conversation without the conversation.
So should you be mad?
Sure, like you can have feelings about it. You had you had some sort of expectation of some sort of relationship. So can you feel what that void now feels like? Absolutely. You can feel brokenhearted. You can feel, karma. You can feel many things. Like you can feel, you can feel the void. But at the same time, we're also saying two things can happen. That one who is ghosted may or may not have warranted the ghosting. And the one who did the ghosting clearly communicated. We no longer have a relationship.
And I ain't gotta say nothing else.
This is now the new boundaries of our relationship.
Yeah, the new boundaries, yes.
That's it.
Did you pursue a ghosted relationship?
I think it depends on what that person means to you, and if you feel like it was your injustice that caused the ghosting. So if you feel like, something that's warranted there, or maybe is it for closure? Is it because you truly miss that person and you want to rekindle that relationship? Or is it because you feel you did not end that relationship on the best terms, or the ghosting was a result of, your actions, that you clearly know that?
Mm-hmm. Now, so I'm not an expert on ghosting, so I don't know how it's properly done.
Are you sure that now?
I'm sure that. I don't know how it's
because now that I think back on it, I definitely know that I possess whatever those tendencies are. That when it comes to me needing to make my communication clear without making my communication clear, I will make it clear that this relationship isn't serving me.
Look, you don't. I felt that. I wouldn't even say you ghosted me. I think you have given me a hologram every once in a while.
Shut up, lying child. You a mess.
But
this is the thing about me, though, that like legit though, you may not hear from me, but once we're official, we're official. You must admit to that.
Yeah.
But it is certainly my part of who I am. It is in my
it's no
my
hard
DNA.
Feelings. It's no hard feelings.
Okay,
because if I get worried enough, I'll pull up. I'll be like,
because you always know how to reach me.
Yeah, I will pull up now. Like, I hit up the man and I'll be like, look,
hello.
She got 2 days. See there? She got 2 days.
That's it. I'm reporting.
I am, and I'm gonna say you dug a hole in the backyard.
Look for that open soil. It's red clay.
But as I was saying, like, I'm not an expert on ghosting or anything. Is ghosting like fully just cutting the relationship off, or could you be slow ghosted? Like, I'm gonna text you today, 2 weeks from now, no, 3 weeks from now, maybe. Like, are there rules to ghosting?
Nah, ghosting is ghosting, and I'm gonna tell you. So now that you mentioned,
so you can't dab in it. You can't like. I'm gonna talk to her today because I
people absolutely do that. Yeah,
like slow ghost.
I would definitely classify that as ghosting. Absolutely,
a slow ghost.
And they reappear, right?
Really?
Yeah. It's like a it's ghosting. It's woo, and then it goes out, and then it comes out, and it comes. Wait, it's been 2 years. That's Ghost of Christmas 3 years ago. What are you doing?
Yeah, in the randomest ways.
Happy New Year. What?
So is ghosting like fully like cut communication? I would say it's in this world where like there's so much access to people and you can communicate, like we were just talking about, you can communicate without communicating. Like, let's say I stop texting you, stop answering your calls, stop answering your text messages, but I constantly am in some kind
liking all my pictures.
Liking all your pictures, yeah.
I'm liking all my pictures.
Or commenting on them. What is that?
Yeah,
like, is that still ghosting?
Oh, all day. It's still ghosting. Be it, just as we were saying, if we're chit-chatting and whatever conversation was a question, and then maybe another question, and then, hey, there, or, maybe, hey, just weeks later, just checking to see how you doing, and there's still nothing. And then, I don't know, holiday comes year later, or a picture, like in something on social media, like, did your number change?
No. Or have you, like, you were talking about the ghost reappearing? Woo!
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard, this has never happened to me, but I've heard people talk about being ghosted and, like they hop back up with the hey big head and then still ghost right after them.
That's my point. That's my point. Oh, I read something. Let me see what it said. Weeks of no communication, then a random text arrives filled with concern and care from the same person who only reached out to you because they're done with whatever distracted them from you in the first place.
Ooh.
It's all a game. Don't play yourself.
Ooh.
Hold on. Who was this? Oh, what's that? This is strange. I haven't heard from you in, I don't know, say months. What's going on? You didn't get my last text message, or my invite, or my like, or my DM, or my email, or my letter express. Did you get my seagull, my smoke signal, my letter in a bottle?
I wrote a letter in Braille as well.
You didn't get any of that?
Nope.
I was reaching out to you. I reached out to you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Months. Years.
Yeah. Years. Hi, big head. What? Mm-hmm. If you don't get on from around here somewhere.
Hilarious. I think ghosting is also a manipulation tool. Like, I think it's something that's done. It can be heavily a manipulation tool used to control the situation. Like, I'm gonna give you some all of my loving, and then I'm just going to snatch it away from you at no particular time.
Oh, that's terrible. And
then deprive you of every access point to me.
Wow. That can be bad.
It is. Sounds like one of them, like them terrible personality disorders that's out there.
Yeah, like what? Maybe narcissism?
Mm-hmm. Definitely some
narcissism. Yeah. I don't know. That can definitely be, I think, abuse. I don't know if that's the relationship that you would want to continue on. I definitely think that's clear communication that, you know, of the type of person you might be dealing with.
And then on the
there's a lack of integrity in that person.
Right. Is there at any given point a reason why you should, try to reach out after you've been ghosted? I guess knowing that it can be used as manipulation, I think it might be safe to say, like, no communication is.
I would say so. Mm-hmm. I don't know, like, and that's just it. Like, I think I made clear to you or to whoever that person is, I'm not going to be involved. I don't want to. That's it. Setting clear boundaries. It's discerning that, it's not serving me. It's not healthy for me. And I don't want to be, in this type of cycle with someone. And I'm not going to allow myself to be used in this type of cycle with someone. And that's a part of someone who needs to heal some areas, to address some areas, to face some areas within themselves. If you're constantly being ghosted, you need to check yourself. There are some things about you that other people are deciding that they don't want to, be associated with. Like, there's some things about you that you may not be aware of. It might be time to do some work to try to figure out, why you are either constantly a victim of being ghosted, or
the one that's always having to do the ghosting.
Well, no, because if you're always having to do the ghosting, that means you are definitely doing the work. That means you are deciding what relationships you want to explore and those that you don't, to a certain degree, but it's not ghosting. It's still communication. We're still communicating, or in some ways, or if we're not attaching ourselves to a situation, even though it's, we're not ghosting the situation, but if someone, be it friendship or relationship, is pursuing us and we're not attaching ourselves to that relationship and we're setting clear boundaries, no, I wouldn't necessarily consider it ghosting, because you're putting that person in a category. So I don't know that, like, for you to, I guess if you're always finding yourself in a situation where you have to sever ties because you're in too deep, that may be something to to analyze. But if it's just
to me, I feel like if a person is constantly having to ghost someone else or ghost other people, then it speaks a lot to them. Like, do you not know how to form those relationships to be healthy? Or do you have something going on with you where you don't want to form relationships? Like, you're just cutting people off. Like, is it saying something about yourself? Or are you using it as a manipulation tool?
Yeah, those are good points. Yeah.
Or can you not communicate your feelings to say, hey, it isn't working for me?
Or do you not feel that this situation was worthy of that I deserve for you to call and say, well, I didn't do this because of this, or I didn't show up because of this. But so yeah, I definitely can see it that way as well. But, for those people who are doing the ghosting in an unhealthy way, are they aware? I guess they could be, right? They could. Do you think that's one of the things that they understand about themselves, that they are not being considerate of the other person in a way that they, may have ended a relationship or friendship?
They might not.
And I ask that, do you think that could become a part of somebody's personality where
that's what I was going to say.
They take joy in doing that?
Yeah, they may either take joy in doing it, or they, like I said, from a communication standpoint, they may not have the capacity to communicate when they're being overwhelmed, or when they no longer want to be in a relationship, or no longer want to be subject to a friendship. Like, it could be a lot of things to where they can't fathom or don't understand the proper ways to do that. And so they do it how they feel they can. What I've concluded from this whole conversation, like ghosting happens. And if you're ever ghosted, it's not on you. Like it's on that person. Like they failed to communicate for one, or two, if they have communicated, it hasn't been in a way in which it's been clearly communicated to you. And then in that sense, it may be you might be one of the crazy people that they just needed to get away from. But for the most part, like you shouldn't blame yourself for being ghosted. It's obviously something that the other person needed to do in order to either protect themselves or whatever. And you're probably better off with them not being in your life if they couldn't really communicate the issues that they had with you.
Because if it happened once, it's liable to happen again. That's those ones that come and go.
Mm-hmm.
And inconsistent ones that just pull it, it just becomes a silent treatment all of a sudden.
Right. And not to say that ghosting is not necessary, but there are ways around the whole ghosting situation. Just talk to somebody. And we had
that's what you were saying
about being honest. Like just
that's what you were saying about establishing healthy relationships, because the relationship that you establish, the boundaries that you put in that relationship establishes what type of relationship.
Right. So don't blame yourself. And like I was saying, there are some situations that it's necessary when they just ain't getting it. You just have to cut a crazy fool off.
Yes, that was good conversation.
Great conversation. I'm gonna start a support group. If you or someone you know has ever been
leave a message in our comments.
Mm-hmm.
Share your story. Share your situation. Call them out.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Ghosting. It's Halloween's coming up.
Chances are they didn't only ghost you.
Let's get.
We're about to start a ghosted app.
Yeah.
Have you seen this person?
Ghostbusters.
I am missing. Have you seen this person?
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Well, as always, we thank you for tuning in with us
on the podcast where we talk
and you listen. As always, like and subscribe, share, hit us up on all of our platforms. Hope to hear from you soon. Hope you hear from us soon as well. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, y'all.